The science fiction film Deep Blue Sea, directed by Rennie Harlin in 1999, went through significant changes during production. This often happens with Hollywood films, whose scripts are written as the production goes. For example, something similar was happening on the set of Ridley Scott's Gladiator, where the director and Russell Crowe would spontaneously film whatever came to their minds. They would quickly film the scenes they wanted and then have professionals write their brilliant ideas into the script. Deep Blue Sea was filmed in much the same way. Originally, the film's main character was supposed to be Susan McCallister, played by Saffron Burrows. McCallister was a very positive character who always helped out her colleagues and openly despised the local evil corporation that funded the research. In other words, it was supposed to be a typical Hollywood film plot, with one person wanting to save the world and a greedy corporation solely interested in making money. As a result of their conflict, all capitalists were to be eaten, while the good people were to ride off into the sunset with dramatic music playing in the background. However, one day Samuel L. Jackson called director Rennie Harlin and asked if he had any role for him in Deep Blue Sea. Jackson frequently pestered directors with these types of questions in the late 1990s and early 2000s. That is how he got into Star Wars. He simply called George Lucas and asked to be in the cast. Jackson was friends with Rennie Harlin from their previous work on The Long Kiss Goodnight. He later admitted that he was pestering Harlin for a reason. He asked to be in the film because he really wanted to star in some monster movie. As a child, he and his friends would often pretend to be Frankenstein or Dracula. Therefore, when he found out that his friend was working on a monster movie, he was eager to participate. Naturally, Rennie Harlin was happy that a famous actor was joining the project, and he immediately offered him the role of a chef in the underwater facility. Jackson did not like the idea and proposed an alternative after reading the script. Together with Harlin, they came up with an entirely new character for the actor. Jackson was one of the top actors at the time, earning $4 to $5 million per role, so the studio didn't mind changing the script for him. The introduction of billionaire Russell Franklin into the plot had the biggest impact on Saffron Burrows' character. The greedy corporation that made millions of dollars from the suffering of scientists and the deaths of ordinary people suddenly turned into something entirely different. Realizing that there were too many positive characters in the film, Harlin began supplementing and changing the script. Gradually, Saffron Burrows turned into an evil genius, which negatively impacted her later. After the film's test screenings, the majority of the audience's complaints were directed at her character, who survived at the end and destroyed the most dangerous shark. Viewers thought it was unfair that such a negative character survived and became a hero, sailing off into the sunset. To please the audience, the studio quickly scheduled additional filming. As a result, Saffron Burrows' character did not make it to the end of the film, and LL Cool J and Thomas Jane were chosen to sail off into the sunset. Originally, Chef LL Cool J was supposed to die before the finale. That's why he didn't have many scenes and only appeared in the frame a few times. Samuel L. Jackson, by the way, was not at all upset that his character didn't live to see the finale, because his unexpected death scene received the most positive feedback during test screenings. Rennie Harlin later admitted that they really wanted to make a reference to the film Alien, where the most famous actor, who plays the leader of his group, also unexpectedly dies midway through the film. The test audience was thrilled. According to Harlin, he and Jackson purposely made Russell Franklin's speech overly long and corny to enhance the impact of the unexpected death scene that followed. Unfortunately, we will never know whether Harlin changed the film for the better or worse. The director said that Deep Blue Sea was the hardest film he's ever made. This is despite the fact that he tried to minimize any risks by convincing the studio not to film the movie in the open sea, as was originally planned. Remembering the difficulties he encountered while making Cutthroat Island, Harlin insisted on moving the filming to the production complex where Titanic was filmed. The film didn't do very well at the box office, but it was not a failure. With a $60 million budget, it grossed $165 million at the box office, which is quite impressive for an R-rated film. Plus, given the film's video and television sales, it clearly paid off for the studio. However, Warner Brothers refused to make a sequel. They did release it 18 years later, but it was a completely different movie that went straight to streaming services. Judging by its ratings, the film has an extremely low quality and is hardly worth watching. Thanks for watching. Subscribe and stay tuned.